guaranteed pension? Is there enough in the coffers to give workers a £10 an hour minimum wage? I've got to ask you, brothers and sisters, please don't believe me. Go and consult statistics like the Sunday Times Rich List. Go and look at the latest statistics. I don't know if you're aware of this. We've been living in an economic depression for the last 9 years. Guess how much the wealth of the UK's 1,000 richest has increased in the last 9 years. It's increased by 112%. 112%. The richest 1,000 in our society now have £547 billion between them. £547 billion between 1,000 people. It's obscene. It's obscene. When they tell you, oh, but we can't afford this, we can't afford that, I want you to say to these commentators, see if we can't afford all of this. Why is it in the last 12 months, the richest 1,000 in the UK saw their wealth increase by 28 billion? Now, what does that mean, 28 billion, 28,000 million pounds? What does it mean? I'll tell you what it means. It means every single day last year, the richest 1,000 saw their wealth increase by £77 million a day. A day. But we can't afford £10 an hour. We can't afford £10 an hour minimum wage. We can't afford £200 a week for our pensions. Come on, let's get real. We live in a rich society. We don't have a problem of poverty. We have a problem of riches. What we have to do is redistribute the wealth that we've got. That's what we've got to do. And we need voices in that Parliament in Holyrood that are going to stand up and say, we're not accepting this. We don't accept the status quo. We think it's wrong and we're going to rage against it. That's why, as well as being for a second referendum, as well as being for IndyRef 2, Solidarity is firmly an anti-austerity party. And by the way, I've got friends in the SNP. I know many people joined the SNP on the back of the referendum, on the back of the position they took in the general election, an anti-austerity position which I was very pleased about. As Brett already said, Solidarity tries to have a positive approach to politics. We try to look at what unites us. We try to have a broad and positive approach to the question of independence. When it came to the first few days after the referendum, I was getting on my social media all the time because of the tour that I'd done and I'd spoken to thousands of people across Scotland. I was getting all these messages with people saying, Tommy, launch a new party. Launch a new party, a pro-independence socialist party. And I was getting a wee bit fed up with this because I thought, wait a wee minute, I've already got a pro-independence socialist party, it's called Solidarity. But in the course of the referendum campaign, and maybe I was wrong, maybe we were wrong as a party, what we did is we promoted a yes vote. That's what we promoted. We never went into that election promoting solidarity. We went into that election promoting yes. That was the most important thing. To unite the yes community, to unite the yes family. Some other political parties might have used it to promote themselves. Well, that's fine, that's up to them. But we think we did the right thing. So when it came to after the referendum and people were saying to me, oh, you should launch something new, I said, no, I'm not going to launch anything new, but I'll tell you what we can do. I'll tell you what we can do. We can turn back on the unionists what they've used against us. I said on the 21st of September, wrote it in my Facebook, I said, why don't we start now? Launch a campaign to unite the yes community for the general election in May that's coming. This was last year. Unite all of the yes community behind the biggest independence party. Lend the SNP your vote. Lend them your vote. If you're not an actual SNP supporter, lend them your vote. Because any of the other parties, and they may have had better policies, they may have had policies you support, but the truth is, they weren't going to win. They weren't going to beat the red Tories, or the blue Tories, or the yellow Tories, but the SNP could. And we said, lend your vote to the SNP. I've got to say, brothers and sisters, there was some of your members got upset about that. Some of our members, long-term socialists, thought, oh no, you're going too far, you're giving credence to the SNP, etc. And I respect their views, I respect that. Disagree with them, but I respect that. The truth is, in politics, sometimes the cause is much more important than the party. The cause is more important than the party. And in that general election last year, the cause of promoting independence, the cause of promoting anti-austerity, the cause of being against Trident and actually getting people elected that were against Trident, that cause was bigger than our party. And that's why we stood down and encouraged everyone to vote SNP. Brothers and sisters, the reason I mention that is because now we're going into an election where you don't have one vote, you've got two. You've got two votes. And of course, anyone who takes the time to look at the system, you will quickly realise that the D'Hondt system, which it's called, to give it its proper name, was designed to try and prevent any one political party getting an overall majority in the Scottish Parliament. In other words, the Scottish Constitutional Convention, when they formed the Scottish Parliament, they deliberately tried to promote coalition government. That's what they did. That's why they introduced that system. That's why in 1999 you had a coalition government. 2003 you had a coalition government. And then things began to change. 2007 you had a minority SNP government. 2011 something happened that shouldn't have happened. You had a majority SNP government. However, and this is the important point, when you cast your first vote, your constituency vote, for the SNP, which is what Solidarity is calling on you to do, we're campaigning quite unashamedly, and we'll get criticised from socialists who'll say, oh, but the SNP are cutting services in places like Dundee. And they are, and they should be condemned for it. But the cause of independence is important enough that we determine that people should give their constituency vote to SNP, because there isn't another party standing in the constituencies that are promoting independence and it's going to win. So let's give the SNP the constituency vote. But then what happens? And by the way, I promise I'll not spend too much time on this because it is complicated. But what happens is the number of votes you get in the list section, which is your second vote, the peach vote, that gets undermined by the number of seats that you win first past the post. Take a very, very simple example. Take the city of Glasgow. There are 9 constituencies in Glasgow. SNP are going to win all 9 of them. There's no doubt about it. They're going to win all 9. That's why Miss Davidson's buggered off the Edinburgh. She's frightened of what's happening in Glasgow. What's going to happen is the SNP will win all 9 constituencies. Say they get 200,000 votes and they win all the first past the post constituencies. And they also get 200,000 second votes. Well, everybody thinks, oh, well, there you go, they've got 200,000 second votes. No, they've not. Because when it comes to the list section, what happens is the number of seats that you win first past the post plus 1 is then divided in to the number of votes you get in the list section. So see that 200,000 votes the SNP get? It gets divided by 9, first past the post seats they win, plus 1 is 10. So that 200,000 votes for the SNP becomes, for the purposes of the list, 20,000 votes. In other words, SNP supporters who want to promote independence, if they give the SNP both of those votes, they're actually wasting their second vote. Because what they're allowing is the Labour Party, the Liberals and perhaps the Tories to scrape in on the basis that all they need to get across Glasgow is more than 20,000 votes. Whereby, if even half of those SNP supporters, 100,000 people, decide, no, we're going to give our second vote to Solidarity, please do that. If not Solidarity, then to another pro-independence party. If they do that, what they will guarantee is that the unionist parties don't get elected in the list, but other pro-independence MSPs do get elected. So that we fill the Scottish Parliament, not just with SNP MSPs, but with pro-independence MSPs from the left as well. That's the prize, brothers and sisters. But do you know what it takes? It takes some in the SNP to put cause before party. Remember earlier I said sometimes you have to do that, which is why we did it last year. Unfortunately, so far there's still a bit of an argument. And the SNP HQ say, no, we need all your votes, we need your both votes, we need your both votes. And they know full well that that second vote is going to be pretty worthless because of the way the list system works. Solidarity is saying loud and clear, no, come on, put the cause before party. Give your second vote to a pro-independence party. Whether it's Solidarity or another pro-independence party is up to you. So we're not just saying this, because some people, you know what it's like in social media, you know, yous are just doing it so yous can gain and all the rest of it. Listen, if you don't want to give it to us, that's fine, but give it to another pro-independence party. That's the message that has to go out from meetings like this. We need that Scottish Parliament, not just to have one party that believes in independence. We need to have a multitude of parties in there who are going to be fighting for independence. We need people to say to the SNP with the big majority, hey, by the way, see that big majority you've got, you're supposed to use it. See the cuts that you're passing on? No chance. Stand and fight the Tories. Stand and defy the austerity. That's what you were elected to do. There are a couple of things I want to put to you before we open for questions that's going to be in our manifesto. There's a bill that we're going to introduce. It's called the Democracy Bill. And what we want this Democracy Bill to contain is a number of things. Number one, we want a right of recall written into the standing orders of the Scottish Parliament. We want a right of recall that they have in many states in America, many countries across Europe. A right of recall that means when a politician stands in a place like this and says, vote for me and I'll save the local hospital. And then they go and vote to close the local hospital. Vote for me, I will fight against the cuts, and then they actually vote for the cuts. You don't have to wait 4 years to get rid of them. If you can raise 5% of your constituency on an online petition, you can trigger a by-election to get rid of that politician. That's the type of participative democracy we want. We want our politicians to be accountable, not just once every 4 years. We want our politicians to be accountable every day of every year. Of course, if we had a right of recall right now, we wouldn't need a bloody court case, would we? Would we get rid of Alistair Carmichael out in his neck if we had a right of recall? But that's not the only feature in that Democracy Bill. We also want to introduce a reduction in the salaries of MSPs. We think the salaries are too large. The salaries just now, in the region of £60,000. No bad work if you can get it. We believe that firefighters who fought long and hard during strikes to try and get £30,000 a year, train drivers that fought long and hard to try and get 30,000, people in this room tonight who are in full-time employment who would give their right arms for £30,000 a year. If we're prepared to pay men and women who are getting into burning buildings when everybody else is coming out £30,000 a year, surely that's enough for MSPs to get paid in the Scottish Parliament. Therefore, part of our democracy bill, and it won't be popular with MSPs, will be to reduce the wages. And part of the democracy bill will be the introduction of a contract of employment. You know, how many of you in here, you work, you've usually got a contract of employment that tells you what your job is, tells you what you're supposed to do. MSPs don't have that. Why don't we have a contract of employment so that when MSPs get letters, when MSPs get visits, when MSPs have got constituents with problems, they can't just ignore them. They've actually got to take up those problems because it's in their contract of employment. There's another feature, brothers and sisters, of this democracy bill that we want you to vote for us so that we can introduce it. And this one might be a wee bit more controversial. But you know, I think it's absolutely ridiculous that the first thing we do when we elect MSPs is we make them liars. We make them liars. Why? Because we tell them that the only way they can take their seats is if they swear an oath of allegiance to the crown. Well, I know the majority of them are Republicans. I know the majority of them are anti-monarchy. I know the majority of them don't believe in the Crown. So why on earth in a modern democracy in the 21st century do we still have an oath of allegiance to an unelected monarch? Brothers and sisters, what we want you to do as part of our democracy bill is elect us, so that when you go to Parliament, a bit like when you go to court, you've got a choice. You can swear an oath of allegiance to the Crown if you want. But we want written into that democracy bill that there is also an alternative oath to the people of Scotland. That's the oath that we should be taking as politicians, not an unelected monarch. Some people may not support that in the royal blue corner. That's up to them. We also want to introduce a bill, brothers and sisters, and Brett has already touched on this. You know, all of us, I think, at one time in our lives, either personally or through your family, have had occasion to applaud the National Health Service and the commitment of the staff and the institution itself. Moan Miller has had breast cancer twice. My mother-in-law has had breast cancer. Both of them received fantastic treatment and thankfully are survivors of that breast cancer. But you know what gets me every single day? And I think about this. I was fortunate enough to go to university way back in 1981, and I got an economics and politics degree, and I used to learn a wee bit of economics and entrepreneurialism, and I used to always be taught that the first thing you need when you've got an economic idea, an entrepreneurial idea, is you need a market. You need a market for the goods. It's no use having a good idea if there's no market for it. And that gets me thinking. We've got a National Health Service which is public. And we're going to fight to keep it public, no matter what the Tories try and do. Brothers and sisters, why do we accept a situation with the level of research and development we have in Scotland, with the universities that we have in Scotland, with the manufacturing basis that we have in Scotland, with the brains and initiatives that we have in Scotland, with the commitment to medicine that we have in Scotland? Why, oh why, do we allow our public health service to be ripped off every single day by private pharmaceutical companies who supply drugs not on the basis of need or cure? They supply drugs on the basis of profit. That's all they do. We are going to be standing next May calling for the Scottish Parliament to build a publicly owned pharmaceutical industry to feed the publicly owned National Health Service. It makes sense and it cuts out the profiteers from our health service. And by the way, we're not just going to be producing drugs, many of them generic, for the health service here in Scotland. We're going to be producing drugs that we can then help people across the planet who are desperately looking for life-saving drugs as well. That's the type of Scotland we want to build in the 21st century. And the final wee point I want to make in the 5 policy platforms goes without saying, doesn't it? We're a party that's for peace. We're a party that's opposed to war. We're a party that believes it is immoral to continue to fund illegal weapons, because that's what nuclear weapons are. Any of you should go and consult the International Court of Justice judgment of 1996. Go and look at it, where all of the countries of the world, they'd fought for years to get nuclear weapons discussed, and all the big countries kept vetoing it. Oh no, you can't discuss it, you can't discuss it. They eventually got a discussion in 1996, and they had a vote. The world's countries voted that nuclear weapons were illegal. By the way, it's not just the use of nuclear weapons that's illegal. Why? Because there's a thing called the Geneva Convention. And this Geneva Convention is the rules of warfare, the rules of engagement. And one of those rules is that when you're involved in an engagement, you're not supposed to use weapons that kill indiscriminately. In other words, you're supposed to target combatants. Armies are supposed to fight against armies. You're not supposed to kill civilians. What the International Court of Justice ruled was that the single most indiscriminate weapon ever created by mankind is nuclear weapons. It kills everyone. And it's not just the use of them that's illegal. It's the possession of them. Why? Because they're always ready to use. Brothers and sisters, I think the Scotland I have in my heart, and hopefully the Scotland you have in your heart, is a Scotland that gets rid of nuclear weapons. And instead of the Mora, as you go through Aberdeen High Street, and you see collecting cans, people, as Brett has said, will be there collecting for the children's unit, they'll be collecting for a new dialysis machine, they'll be fundraising to paint a ward of some children's hospital. Do you know what I want to see? 10, 15 years from now, I want to see people out there collecting. I want to see them collecting and giving you a wee sticker in it. It's a wee sticker that looks like a nuclear bomb. And they're going to be saying, please, going to help us. We want to build nuclear weapons. Any chance you get a spare penny there? That's what I want to see. Why do we accept a situation that you're collecting publicly for the things that are required in life, but we've got plenty of money for these weapons of mass destruction? We chance. We're not accepting it, brothers and sisters. And we're not accepting fracking either. We are saying absolutely that fracking is an unsafe, environmentally unsound form of energy extraction. We don't want a moratorium, we want it banned. We want it banned, and we're fighting, and that's in our policy platform. Brothers and sisters, I've tried to give you a quick guided tour of the things that we're going to fight the election on next year. Of course, it's one thing having a policy platform, but it's another thing to have people to communicate it, to have people to help spread the word. And that's why the part of tonight's meeting, which is the most important to me, is the appeal to you to join us, to become a member of Solidarity. And I want you to go further. We have elected in 6 of the 8 regions across Scotland. We've elected candidates to stand in 6 of the 8 regions. We've only got 2 regions left where we've still got to elect candidates. One of them is the North East. The other one is Lothians, which we're going to elect on Sunday night at a meeting in Edinburgh. Brothers and sisters, I'm not just asking for some of you in here to consider joining Solidarity. I'm asking you to consider standing for Solidarity, putting your name on the list. We're looking for 4 people who are willing to stand in that list and to go to the hustings, to go to the public meetings, to go to the radio studios, and to argue the case that I've talked about tonight. We will produce the material, we'll give you the arguments, we'll give you the facts and the figures and statistics, but what we need is your heart. It's no use getting involved with Solidarity if you don't believe in it, by the way. See if you're a phony and you just want to read for a script, go and join New Labour or something like that. Don't join us. If you don't have it in your heart, don't bother joining Solidarity. It's as simple as that. We're a smaller party, we're not a big party, we've not got big millionaire backers, but what we have got is principles in abundance. What we have got is the commitment to change society. So I would appeal to you, if you believe in independence, if you believe in socialism, you know, people have to understand, you get all this crap talked about socialism. Oh, socialism, that's about taking more and more money off of hard working people. I'm sorry, that's capitalism you're thinking of. That's capitalism. Socialism isn't about dumbing down. Socialism isn't about making everybody poor. Socialism's about raising standards. Socialism is about giving everybody a decent quality of life. Something that too many people think isn't obtainable. Of course it's attainable. Of course it's attainable if we're only willing to fight for it. Brothers and sisters, I'm going to finish my contribution by appealing to you to consider joining us, to consider giving us your second vote next year, to consider becoming candidates for Solidarity. I'm going to finish with a quote that often inspired me in the course of the campaign, and the referendum continues to inspire me now when we look at the establishment that's ranged against us and how they tell us there's nothing else we can do. You know, 1 million people relying on food banks, nearly 2 million people on 0 hours contracts, 5 million people across the UK on poverty pay. Nothing we can do about it. Brothers and sisters, Jim Larkin was an Irish trade unionist who formed the Irish Transport and General Workers Union. In 1913 he was involved in the dockers' strike in Dublin, which became a lockout. The employers locked out the dockers and tried to starve them back to work. Jim Larkin, in the course of that dispute, said, "The powerful only appear so because we are on our knees." Arise! Arise is what Jim Larkin said, and I would say to each and every one of you, get off your knees. He used to say, you were militant if you fought for higher wages. You were militant if you fought against school closures. You were militant if you fought against the poll tax. You were militant if you fought against warrant sales. Brothers and sisters, a militant is only a moderate that's got off their knees. Let's get off our knees. Thanks very much, brothers and sisters. Thanks very much, brothers and sisters. I'm going to come to the front of the desk here just because when I'm sitting down I can't see everybody at the back. Just to let you know, Sarah, as well as being her first meeting tonight, I hope you don't mind me saying this, but she's also had some serious dental surgery done yesterday.
I was going to speak, but I can't.
And she showed me some of the stitches that are in her gums right now, and that was enough to make me grimace, I've got to say. So, instead of Sarah directing any questions, I'm going to stand at the front here and I apologise for being almost my back to you, lads. But if there's any questions or any contributions anybody wants to make, please feel free. If you don't mind just saying your first name, that'd be great.
Hi, my name's Angela and I'm a community activist in one of the most poorest areas in Aberdeen. And I stood for Solidarity way back in '97, and since then I have had a lot of right-wing propaganda at my door. It's continued since that day. I've had swastikas on my door because basically I help my Muslim community in my area, I help the poor, and it's coming up for election time again, and I'm like thinking, where am I going politically? I fought the anti-bedroom tax campaign again. The right-wing parties were straight on my door, swastikas. I'm also in some kind of red watch. Yeah, it gets me, but I'm still here, still fighting. You've got to, you know. So it's coming up for like the election time again. I'm like, well, where am I going politically? Is Solidarity? Is that where I'm going? Is this a party that I want to be part of again? To go right, stand up against all these right-wing policies, stand up against the right-wing media. Is this for me?
Angela, I've got to say that I've got to say, as far as I'm concerned, we would be very proud to continue to have not just your support, but somebody who's got the courage that you've got. You don't just talk a good game, you actually do what you talk about. You're willing to stand there, even though you've had this harassment, even though you've been victimised. I don't know what area you stay.
I live in CN, which is class of regeneration community, the regeneration for working class.
Well, I tell you, I hope some of these bampots are being influenced because of their age and because of their ignorance to do the things that they're talking about with you, with the swastikas and everything else. I hope that's the case. I know some of them, believe it or not, have grown up and they're still bampots, right? But I would hope that if you're standing for Solidarity or you're a member of Solidarity and you're targeted in any way, I would hope the rest of you would show solidarity with Angela and make sure that nobody gets to victimise them. The only way, isn't it, folks? The only way to deal with bullies is to stand up to them. You know, and it's no easy. It's no easy. Let's not make a mistake about it. It's no easy. But Angela needs to know that she's going to have people at her back. So please, Angela, I would love you to be part of Solidarity. Yeah, yourself, brother.
Alright, Tommy, I'm one of Brett's workmates working in the same home that he does, so I'm delighted to be here tonight. Jeremy Corbyn, I've read his 6 policies, major policies he's going to do: renationalise the railways, renationalise the energy companies, a whole new institution for education, free tuition fees, also like for working parents.